Level 1. Cadet. You walked into the Imperial Academy because someone told you it was an honor, because the Empire promised you a future, because staying on your backwater outer rim planet meant dying in a moisture farm. Now you're Imperial property. Day 1. Civilian clothes go in the incinerator. Hair gets shaved by droids. You get a number instead of a name. They give you a white and gray uniform, an E11 blaster locked to the lowest power setting, and they introduce you to the well. The well is a programmable obstacle course designed to break you. Floating platforms that shock you when you land wrong, moving targets, walls that close in. Every day they add another challenge on top of the last. Fall behind and you wash out. Washouts get reassigned to the Imperial Army or Navy, the branches that take rejects. There's another way to disappear. If you show reflexes that seem supernatural, the Grand Inquisitor pays a visit. He has special criteria. Cadets who meet them get taken into custody. The Empire calls it Project Harvester. You never see those cadets again. The Academy system has 3 tiers. Junior academies take teenagers. Senior academies filter out the weak. Then, specialized service academies for Army, Navy, or Stormtrooper Corps. Karita is where they send the ones marked for Stormtrooper training. The planet has higher gravity than standard, specifically to toughen your muscles. The terrain includes Arctic wastelands, rainforests, mountain crags, and deserts crawling with venomous reptiles and combat arachnids. On your 3rd day of boot camp, they march you 200 kilometers through a mountainous wasteland. Day 3. The 2-year program is legendary for its brutality. It draws only the best candidates from the Army, and most of them still fail. The instructors have a saying: you leave here as a trained weapon, or you don't leave here at all. They're not exaggerating. Level 2. Trooper. You survived. You're a certified Stormtrooper of the Galactic Empire. You're also a replacement. The first Stormtroopers were clone troopers, millions of Kaminoan-made soldiers bred for war. But clones age fast. Their skills deteriorated. The Empire needed fresh bodies. Project Warmantle changed everything. Human volunteers and conscripts replaced the clones. They called the first generation TK troopers. You're part of that new breed. They give you a designation. 2 letters, 4 numbers. TK-4187, TK-7291, TK-421. You are not a name anymore. You are an operating number. The armor is white plastoid plates over a black body glove. The helmet feeds you data on friendlies and hostiles. From the outside, you're identical to every other trooper. That's the point. Your anonymity is a psychological weapon. The E11 blaster rifle switches between single shot, semi-auto, full auto, and pulse fire. It fires darts, grenades, flares. On the highest setting, it vaporizes anything short of reinforced durasteel. You'll never use the highest setting. That's for people who matter. Your job is simple. Stand where they tell you. Shoot what they tell you. Ask no questions. The indoctrination makes this easier than it should be. Very few attempts to bribe, blackmail, or seduce a stormtrooper ever succeed. The armor protects against shrapnel and glancing hits. Manufactured to the highest Imperial standards, lasts indefinitely. You can find functional sets half buried at decades-old battle sites. Direct blaster bolts punch right through. Nobody mentions that in the recruitment hollows. Level 3. Corporal. You've survived long enough to matter slightly more than the fresh meat. They give you a black pauldron on your right shoulder, a small patch of color in the sea of white. It means you're in charge when the sergeant isn't around. It also means you're first through the door. Corporals handle the tasks too dangerous for new troopers and too routine for sergeants. You check the suspicious cargo container. You investigate the strange noise in the lower deck. You walk point when the squad enters hostile territory. The pay increase is marginal. The increase in your odds of catching a blaster bolt is not. At this level, You start noticing things. Half your squad can barely hit a stationary target. The rebels aren't the disorganized terrorists from the briefings. They're coordinated, motivated, and disturbingly effective. You keep these observations to yourself. The Empire rewards compliance, not questions. Some corporals start skimming. Credits, supplies, equipment. Building a fund for the day everything falls apart. The smart ones never get caught. The dumb ones get executed in front of their unit as an example. Level 4. Sergeant. White Pauldron. First rank of non-commissioned officer. You command 9 troopers, 10 total, including yourself. Sergeants are the backbone of the Corps. You translate orders from officers into action. You maintain discipline. You keep the newer troopers from panicking when blaster fire starts. When your squad performs well, the officers take credit. When your squad fails, you take the blame. This is the Imperial way. The white pauldron changes to orange when you're leading in the field. It's supposed to help coordination. In practice, it paints a target on your shoulder. Rebel snipers learn to look for the colored pauldrons. They know killing the leader creates chaos. They know chaos creates opportunity. At this rank, you understand what the Stormtrooper Corps actually is. An independent branch, separate from Army and Navy. Technically, you answer directly to Emperor Palpatine. In practice, you answer to whoever outranks you. The indoctrination runs deep. You've seen troopers walk into certain death because an officer gave an order. Troopers refusing bribes worth more than their lifetime salary. Troopers reporting their own squad mates for seditious comments. You start to wonder if you actually believe in the Empire, or if you just believe you believe. Then someone gives you an order, and the wondering stops. Level 5. Squad Leader. Orange Pauldron, permanent. You're a Stormtrooper Commander now, the official term for any ranking Stormtrooper in armor. You lead 10 troopers into combat. You coordinate with other squad leaders. You answer to lieutenants and captains who've never fired a blaster outside of qualification. Welcome to middle management. The pauldron system exists because the armor is intentionally anonymous. Orange means unit leader. Red means higher authority. White means sergeant. Black means enlisted. No pauldron means expendable. At this level, you interact with Imperial officers regularly. Army officers resent Stormtroopers for getting better equipment. Navy officers view ground forces as beneath them. ISB agents treat everyone as potential traitors. Moffs use Stormtroopers as status symbols. You're not a soldier anymore. You're a chess piece moved by players who've never seen the board. The next step is Chief, Red Pauldron, second in command of a platoon. But chiefs serve administrative roles. Dress uniforms instead of armor. Data pads instead of blasters. Most squad leaders don't want that. The field is simpler. Point at the enemy. Pull the trigger. Live or die based on your skills instead of your politics. The field is where you understand your purpose. The office is where you realize you might not have one. Level 6. Scout Trooper. You wanted speed, independence, something that wasn't standing in corridors checking identification. They gave you lighter armor, a speeder bike, and a territory to patrol. Now you spend your days racing through forests at 500 kilometers per hour, dodging trees that would kill you instantly if you clipped one. Scout troopers, biker scouts, operate with more independence than standard stormtroopers. You gather intelligence, make decisions without waiting for orders, function without support for days. Your helmet has a boosted comm link, an enhanced macro-binocular viewplate for spotting targets at range. The lighter armor covers only your upper body. You're more vulnerable, but faster. In reconnaissance, speed matters more than durability. The 74Z speeder bike is your constant companion, built by Aerotech. Single pilot, single blaster cannon, zero protection. It's an engine with handlebars. 500 kilometers per hour through dense forest. One mistake turns you into a smear on a tree trunk. You patrol perimeters, scout enemy positions, perform hit-and-run attacks. Scout troopers are trained to operate in pairs, 2 bikes covering each other's blind spots. The Empire stations elite scouts at high-value installations. The shield generator on Endor, for example. Forest moon, dense vegetation, hazardous terrain, perfect for speeder bikes, superior training, superior equipment, superior numbers, lost to a tribe of meter-tall primitives armed with rocks and sticks. The briefings said the Ewoks were barely sentient, no threat. The briefings were wrong. Level 7, Snowtrooper. Cold weather assault. You're trained for environments that would kill a standard trooper in hours. The armor is completely different. 18 pieces of outer shell with enhanced heating units, insulated body glove, airtight oversuit, breather hood feeding warm air to your helmet, polarized snow goggles, terrain grip boots. Your utility belt carries high-tension wire, grappling hooks, ion flares, ammunition, survival kit, ration packs. The heating backpack powers your suit for 2 weeks in the harshest frozen conditions. 2 weeks, alone, in temperatures that freeze exposed skin in minutes. That's what the Empire expects from you. Snowtroopers carry E-11 rifles. Specialized teams deploy E-Web heavy repeating blasters for suppressive fire. You're part of Blizzard Force, General Maximilian Veer's command. The troopers who walked across the ice fields of Hoth and crushed the Rebel Alliance's hidden base. The Battle of Hoth was a masterpiece of Imperial logistics. The rebels spent months adapting their equipment for winter conditions. Blizzard Force walked in fully equipped on day 1. Snowtroopers deployed from AT-AT walkers, stormed Echo Base, and dismantled everything. General Rekan, the rebel commander, admitted later that his people never stood a chance. The Empire simply out-prepared them. That's the advantage of unlimited resources. Whatever the terrain demands, the Empire has a unit designed to dominate it. Snowtroopers, sand troopers, shore troopers, swamp troopers. Frozen wastelands are your specialty. When the orders come, everything in your path freezes or dies. Level 8, Death Trooper. Black armor, vocal scramblers, classified surgical enhancements. You're not a Stormtrooper anymore. Death Troopers are selected from candidates who exceed every physical and ideological standard. Height and weight requirements alone disqualify most applicants. You have to be bigger, stronger, and more fanatically loyal just to qualify. If you make the cut, you transfer to an advanced training camp. Scarif had one. What happens there is classified. The records mention rigorous training in exotic environments. The reality involves surgical enhancements that push your attributes far beyond human baselines. Strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, everything optimized for lethality. Death Troopers specialize. Each squad member masters a specific discipline: unarmed combat, heavy weapons, demolitions, guerrilla warfare, marksmanship. You operate in small units, each trooper complementing the others. The armor is black with integrated sensors, micro-motion detectors, heads-up displays tracking enemy and friendly positions. Your helmet scrambles your voice into electronic distortion. Even other Imperials can't understand you without a decoder. That's intentional. Emperor Palpatine personally chose the name Death Trooper to exploit rumors of an Imperial project to reanimate dead tissue. The scrambled voices, the black armor, the inhuman movement. It's designed to weaponize fear. You protect high-value targets: Director Krennic, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Grand Moff Tarkin, sometimes Darth Vader himself. You handle missions requiring 0 witnesses. Experts at covering their tracks. That's the phrase in your file. Death Troopers leave no evidence. Get in, complete the objective, vanish. The only sign you were there is the bodies. You're not a soldier. Point you at a problem and the problem disappears. Level 9. The End. Here's what they don't tell you at the Academy. The Empire loses. A farm boy from Tatooine destroys the Death Star. The rebellion grows from nuisance to existential threat. The Emperor dies when Darth Vader throws him down a reactor shaft to save his son. Endor kills the Empire's leadership in a single day. Cadets get pulled from academies and thrown onto front lines before they're ready. Half of them defect the moment they realize they're losing. The Galactic Concordance disbands the Stormtrooper Corps entirely. Training prohibited, recruitment stopped. The white armor becomes a relic. Some remnants refuse to surrender. They flee to the unknown regions, call themselves the First Order, kidnap children and raise them as soldiers from birth. No choice, no recruitment hollows, no illusion of volunteering. FN 2187, FN 2199. An entire generation designated by numbers because names imply personhood. The First Order doesn't want persons, it wants weapons. One of them breaks. FN 2187 watches his squadmate die on Jakku, blood smeared across his helmet. Something in the conditioning cracks. He removes the armor. A resistance pilot gives him a name, Finn. He fights for the other side, becomes a general. The cycle repeats. Different armor, different letters, same truth. The galaxy runs on soldiers, and soldiers are easier to control when they don't think of themselves as people. You believed in the Empire. The indoctrination worked exactly as designed. Now you're old, or dead, or you switch sides early enough to call it principle instead of survival. Either way, the designation stays with you. TK something. A number in a system. A white helmet in an endless sea of white helmets. The Empire thanks you for your service.